Imagine being an absolutely certified Hollywood star who appeared as the lead in a romantic comedy that won a number of awards at various film festivals. But then, just a decade later, you have pivoted to flirting with yourself on TikTok, wearing some sorry-ass towel on your head and saying really cringe things while at it.
Hey babe.
Yeah, babe.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking we could do a little D&D.
Yeah, welcome to the strange world of Rahul Rai. Of course, if you've spent any time on TikTok over the past few years, there's a high chance you've run into the real Rahul Rai. He's got over 5.6 million followers, and his entire page is built on what might be the most aggressive, unfiltered vanity the app has ever seen. Now look, internet cringe isn't new. People post weird stuff for clout every day. But with Rahul, viewers are starting to realize that behind the smooth-talking guy persona, the content is crossing over into genuinely unhinged territory. And the real twister in the whole story is when you consider where this guy actually came from. Rahul isn't just some teenager who downloaded TikTok in his bedroom. He was a trained, working actor. Back in 2011, he starred as the titular lead in the indie feature When Harry Tries to Marry. He landed guest roles on major shows like HBO's Barry and Netflix's A Man on the Inside. This dude actually had a real shot at a traditional screen career. But hey, how does someone go from feature films to recording multi-part TikTok sagas where they play both sides of a relationship? Rahul created a universe where he not only plays himself, but also plays his hypothetical future bae by throwing a towel over his hair.
Babe, have you seen my, You alright? Why are you looking at me like that?
The gag in almost every single video, it's about showing how completely helpless women allegedly are when faced with his sheer charm. He writes scripts where imaginary girlfriends beg him to wear suits, drop everything just to look at him, or ask him to do basic household tasks like he's performing a heroic act. In fact, it's gotten so blatant that when a viewer asked if he was falling in love with himself, Rahul straight up admitted it in the comments. At least he's honest about the delusion, right? And honestly, if it stopped at self-absorbed thirst traps, we'd laugh, call it terminal narcissism, and move on. However, the real reason people across TikTok and other social media platforms are calling for Rahul to be stopped comes down to a third character he introduced to his account, a 5-year-old child named Zane.
Mommy?
Yeah, Zane, what's up?
I went to bed. Did you have a nightmare? Not exactly. Then what? I had a dream about Miss Donna. Miss Donna, your art teacher? Oh my god. Hey! What? Your son just had his first wet dream. You need to talk to him about it. Oh.
His longtime audience isn't staying quiet about it either. Former fans have started speaking out, with one ex-follower posting about their disdain for his skits, and they have every right to be disturbed. To understand why people are so deeply unsettled by this era of Rahul's content, you have to look at how these skits are actually structured. Rahul didn't hire a child actor or even use a dummy. Instead, he plays every single character himself using a very basic framing trick. And when he plays the dad, he tilts his head down and speaks with a stern, authoritative voice. Then when the video cuts to the son, Zane, Rahul tilts his head way up toward the ceiling, wide-eyes the camera, and adopts this bizarrely innocent, high-pitched cadence.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, Zane, what's up? Happy Father's Day.
It's meant to signal to your brain, hey, look down here, I'm a small, naive 5-year-old child. Now, on paper, playing multiple characters in a low-budget skit is standard comedy. Creators even do it every day. But the problem isn't the split-screen acting. The problem is what Rahul chooses to put in this fictional 5-year-old's mouth.
Hey, did you lick a girl's hand today in school? I saw you lick Mommy's hand when she had chocolate syrup in that little space between her index finger knuckle and her middle finger knuckle.
Instead of writing jokes about classic kid stuff like refusing to eat vegetables, sneaking candy, or throwing tantrums at the grocery store, Rahul bases almost every single Zane video on adult concepts. The formula is always the exact same. Zane comes home from school or walks into the living room, looks up at his dad, and casually drops a line referencing explicit adult scenarios he allegedly overheard his parents doing.
Be studying animals. Does anybody know what sound a cow makes? Yes, little Susie?
A cow goes moo.
That's right, Susie. A cow goes moo. Does anybody know what sound a cat makes? Yes, Zane?
A cat goes...
Are you sure about that, Zane? Do you want to try again?
Well, that's what cats sound like in my house.
That's how a cat sounds in your house? Yeah, my dad tells my mom that he's gonna make her kitty purr, and then this sound follows soon after.
Oh my god.
Cats go meow, Zane. That's right, Susie. Cats go meow. They go meow.
Oh, then what animal goes like this?
I don't know, dogs.
In one skit, Zane goes to a parent-teacher conference, and the teacher mentions that Zane's mother takes daily vitamins. Zane immediately interrupts to explain that he hears his mom telling his dad every night that she needs her daily dose of vitamin D before going to bed.
Hi, everybody. I'm Zane's mom, Zara. And I work in finance. You work in finance? Oh my god, all the time we thought you were a pharmacist. Why would you think I'm a pharmacist? Well, Zane had mentioned that your job was to take vitamins every day, and we thought, well, that doesn't sound right. Maybe what he meant to say is you make vitamins, hence, in so facto, you are a pharmacist. Oh, Zane, why would you tell them that I like to take vitamins every day? Well, I hear you tell Daddy every night that you need your daily dose of vitamin D before going to sleep. That's.
In another video, Zane submits a drawing in art class showing his mother on all fours with a leash around her neck. When the teacher asks why a 5-year-old drew that, Zane innocently replies that he heard his dad shouting doggy style in the bedroom the night before.
Is there any reason why Zane would draw you guys like that? Zane, why does Mommy have a leash around her neck?
Oh, I saw you and Mommy play pretend one time. Mommy was pretending to be a dog.
That explains the ball in the mouth. Zane, why is she on all fours?
Well, I heard you yell doggy style repeatedly.
Oh my god.
And it just keeps getting worse. There are skits about Zane putting a whole hot dog down his throat without chewing because he saw his mom do it.
That right, Zane?
Hi.
Zane, are you okay, baby? What happened? Zane put a whole hot dog in his mouth without chewing it first, and then, unfortunately, threw up all over the place.
Oh my god, Zane, why would you do that?
Well, last time I saw you eat a hot dog in front of Daddy, he said, don't use your teeth. Put the whole thing in your mouth. And when you did it, he smiled and said, good girl.
Skits about Zane asking why his mom was slapped in the face with a specific part of his dad's body. When you line these videos up back to back, you realize this isn't just a one-off bad joke that missed the mark. This is an entire content pillar on his account. Dozens upon dozens of uploads are dedicated entirely to taking adult situations and delivering them through the voice of a young boy. Now, if you ask Rahul's remaining defenders, they'll tell you it's just irony or even satire. They'll say the whole joke relies on the contrast between a child's perceived innocence and adult subject matter. But calling something satire doesn't automatically make it satire. The question is, what exactly is being satirized? I mean, satire exposes hypocrisy, mocks social norms, or subverts expectations. When a sketch comedy show uses a child character to deliver an adult line, the joke is usually commenting on bad parenting, absurd media influence, or societal absurdities. But here the punchline is simply saying an explicit word while pretending to be 5 years old. It's the comedic equivalent of jumping out from behind a bush, screaming a curse word, and then claiming you're a genius performance artist. It's lazy shock baiting. Rahul relies on the sheer discomfort of the viewer to generate engagement, because when someone scrolls past a video of a guy pretending to be a kindergartner talking about unprotected, their immediate reaction is to freeze, re-watch it in disbelief, and leave a comment asking what on earth they just witnessed. And on platforms like TikTok, the algorithm doesn't care whether a comment says, haha, so funny, or this is genuinely disturbing. A comment is engagement, and a re-watch is a metric win. Whether he intended to or not, Rahul essentially discovered a cheat code. The more inappropriate he makes these fictional children, the more people argue in the comments, and the higher his videos get pushed on the For You page. Who is the intended audience here? Think about it logically. If a young child scrolls onto these videos, it's completely inappropriate exposure to explicit adult topics. But if an adult watches them, it's not funny. It's just intensely uncomfortable and cringy. Also, when you look at the comment section under these uploads, the disconnect is undeniable. Yet despite the overwhelming backlash and the replies, Rahul keeps filming them. He doubles down, releasing week after week of the same repetitive Zane overhears his parents' storylines. Well, whatever the motivation is, the incentive is obvious: attention. A video can be hated by millions of people and still perform if those people watch, rewatch, comment, and share it. 1 million views doesn't know the difference between applause and outrage. But as bad as the Zane videos are on their own, things take an even darker turn when you look at how Rahul interacts with his actual real-life audience off-screen. You know, while the Zane skits represent the most disturbing corner of Rahul Rai's profile, you can't fully understand his online presence without dissecting his primary claim to fame, which is his Me and Future Bay series. Long before he introduced child characters, Rahul built his multi-million follower empire on a premise that could best be described as vanity. The concept is simple. Rahul plays himself as a smooth, effortless heartthrob, but to play his hypothetical future girlfriend, he places a bath towel over his head, pitches his voice slightly higher, and acts out both sides of a relationship.
Hey, babe.
Yeah, babe.
I bet you
Here we go.
that you couldn't get me all flustered without using words.
It's a format that plenty of sketch comedians use for quick, relatable relationship humor. However, the difference with Rahul is that his skits aren't relatable. They are pure, unadulterated self-fan fiction.
Yeah, I completely agree with John. I think we should go ahead and fill our duties to the client.
In Rahul's world, his future bae doesn't have a distinct personality, hobbies, or life outside of him. Her entire narrative purpose is to sit in awe of his physical appearance. Video after video, the towel-wearing character begs him to dress up in tailored suits.
I noticed. Can you do me a favor?
Sure, what's up?
Can you put on the suit?
Slathers him with compliments for doing the bare minimum, or swoons uncontrollably whenever he leans against a door frame or runs a hand through his hair.
Can you just lean up against this chair?
Oh, yeah, you mean,
Like this?
But then, what makes these skits so uniquely uncomfortable to watch isn't just the self-flirting, it's the hyper-specific, almost cartoonish way he writes about women. Rahul writes his female characters as crazed, desperate caricatures who are completely unable to function around him. Meanwhile, he plays himself as the stoic, unbothered cool guy who reluctantly tolerates how deeply women are obsessed with him. He'll post a skit where his imaginary girlfriend complains that she can't focus because he walked into the room wearing a specific shirt, or a scenario where she demands he take off his jacket because his existence is somehow too overwhelmingly attractive. It's the classic main character syndrome taken to an absolute extreme. He has moved from writing skits about real human interactions to creating visual fan fiction, where he gets to play both the hero and the adoring crowd, turning every scene into another opportunity to position himself as the ultimate romantic prize. Look at the way he looks into the camera during these scenes. The intense eye contact, the slow, calculated movements, the deliberate biting of the lip. It's honestly filmed less like a comedy video and more like an audition tape for a soap opera that exists solely inside his own head. To be honest, there's a familiar trope in television and film. Creators who write, direct, and star in their own projects sometimes give themselves the most flattering character in the room. Every argument ends with them being right. Every romantic interest wants them, or every conflict somehow makes them look heroic. Rahul has essentially compressed that fantasy into 30-second TikToks. He controls the script, the camera, the performance, and the edit, meaning he can manufacture both sides of every interaction. He could spend an entire afternoon in his apartment filming himself, pretending that women fight over him, edit it, and broadcast it to millions of people, without a single person telling him, "Hey man, this is a little embarrassing." There is no co-star to contradict him, no director to ask him to dial it back, and no writer to tell him that perhaps the woman he just invented should have a personality beyond being obsessed with his jawline. The result is that his future bae videos don't simply depict women being attracted to him. They construct an entire universe in which female admiration is the natural order of things. And when you do this every single day for years, the line between performative cringe and actual delusion begins to blur. He starts treating his comment section not as a place for feedback, but as a validation machine. Now you might be asking yourself, if millions of people are watching these videos, why aren't his comment sections entirely filled with people calling out the cringe? Well, the answer lies in how Rahul manages his profile behind the scenes. If you scroll through his profile, you'll notice a strange phenomenon on his page. Videos that accumulate hundreds of thousands or even millions of views will often have a suspiciously low comment count. That's because Rahul heavily filters, restricts, and deletes negative feedback. He selectively purges criticism, leaving behind primarily 3 types of comments: young fans who take the thirst trap seriously, ironic support that he mistakes for real praise, and comments he can pin to reinforce his own self-image. And by scrubbing his page of genuine pushback, he creates a digital echo chamber where his vanity is constantly rewarded. He gets to log in, see thousands of likes, read curated comments validating his charm, and convince himself that the internet is genuinely head over heels for him. It's just like a self-sustaining cycle. He posts an ego-driven thirst trap, deletes the mockery, absorbs the praise, and gets right back in front of the camera to film the next one. But as unsettling as this vanity can be on its own, it sets up a dangerous precedent, because when a creator operates in a bubble where they believe they can do no wrong, they eventually start pushing boundaries into areas that aren't just cringy, but also downright alarming. You see, up to this point, you could theoretically write Rahul Rai off as 2 distinct internet phenomena: a hyper-cringy narcissist who loves his own reflection, and a shockbait creator who uses inappropriate child skits for cheap views. Neither of those personas is particularly likable, but on TikTok, neither is explicitly rare. However, as you dig deeper into Rahul's content archive, you hit a subset of videos that push past simple online cringe and land square, and why hasn't this account been banned? There is a recurring thread across his profile where Rahul addresses or jokes about interacting with underage followers online. And instead of treating the topic with basic common sense, or simply ignoring weird comments like any normal adult with millions of impressionable fans, Rahul turns these interactions into entire multi-part skits. Take, for instance, one of his most infamously criticized videos. In the video, instead of showing shock or immediately blocking the user, Rahul acts out a dramatic comedic reaction where he pretends to panic and run from catching a case. The immediate question to anyone with a brain asks is, why on earth would a 35-year-old man think this is a funny joke to broadcast to millions of people? Like, if you're a grown adult talking to people in your direct messages, realizing someone is a minor isn't supposed to be a funny plot twist for a TikTok draft. It's supposed to be a hard stop. But no, this dude's out here putting catching a case in quotes like it's some funny, relatable thing we all deal with. Even in the most generous, good faith interpretation, where he didn't actually DM a minor and was just trying to make a self-deprecating joke, it shows a complete breakdown of boundaries. Whatever his intention was, the result is the same. He is publicly associating himself with a predatory scenario for the sake of a joke, and it doesn't stop with his own original skits. Rahul frequently uses TikTok's reply feature to highlight and respond to deeply inappropriate comments left by younger viewers too. In one instance, a user left a wildly suggestive comment mentioning words like younger and tighter. A normal creator seeing that comment would instantly delete it, block the user, or report it to the platform. But what did Rahul do? Oh, he pinned the comment, made a video response directly pointing at it, and gave an exaggerated, smirking expression to the camera. By making a video about it, he didn't call out the inappropriate nature of the comment. He gave it a spotlight. He signaled to every single teenager scrolling past his page that if you leave a boundary-crossing, truly suggestive comment under his uploads, there's a high chance he will reward you with a video reply and broadcast your username to millions of followers. It's an insanely irresponsible dynamic. He actively encourages his audience to be as out of bounds as possible, because he knows that the more controversial the interaction, the higher and better his video will perform on TikTok's algorithm. And when you step back and look at his account as a whole, a pattern of uncomfortable themes begins to emerge. You have the future-based skits, where he acts out desperate romantic scenarios with himself.
Babe.
Yeah, babe?
What? You heard me. I want you to see me. Why?
You have the Zane skits, where a fictional 5-year-old discusses adult positions.
Why did you do that, Zane? Well, I overheard you and Mommy talking once. Oh, no. And I remember Mommy saying how much she enjoyed when you turned the face with your... Okay.
And then you have these videos making light of underage DMs and age gap dynamics. It creates an atmosphere on his channel that feels less like mainstream sketch comedy and more like a public playground for weird, increasingly inappropriate fantasies and boundary testing. I mean, creators have every right to make adult humor, and TikTok certainly has plenty of mature commentary channels. But adult humor should rely on consent, clear boundaries, and appropriate context. Sadly, though, Rahul blends adult concepts, child roleplay, and teenage audiences together, and then acts surprised when viewers find it repulsive. What makes this entire situation even more mind-boggling is that Rahul isn't just posting these videos into a vacuum for zero monetary gain. He is actively getting sponsored and even making ads for brands. In some of his most uncomfortable uploads, including skits featuring suggestive monologues and weird boundary-pushing scripts, you will occasionally spot an ad or paid partnership tag redirecting followers to buy products.
Dare you. Looks so good.
What's up, babe?
What are you doing?
I'm just streaming a glute workout using Verizon's 5G home internet.
Now, anyone who understands how creator sponsorships work knows the standard protocol. Many traditional sponsored campaigns, brands, or agencies review the creator's planned content before it goes live, and this leaves us with a few possibilities. Either the content was reviewed and approved, the campaign was handled with minimal oversight, or the sponsorship was simply an automated affiliate arrangement. Whatever the explanation, though, it raised an uncomfortable question about how much scrutiny brands actually apply. Like, what makes the internet's current creator economy so broken isn't just that people post weird content, it's that the system can reward them when crossing a line to generate attention. And it's not like TikTok can claim ignorance here either. This is the part that should bother you more than almost anything else in this story. I mean, TikTok already has a rule for exactly this. Multiple rules, actually. Rahul's Zane videos aren't necessarily in the same category as a documented offense, but they raise an obvious question about where the platform draws the line when child characters are repeatedly placed in context. So here's the question nobody seems to be asking loud enough. If the policy is that clear, why does an account built partly on a fictional child reciting things he overheard his parents doing still sit comfortably at 5.6 million followers with sponsors attached? Traditional entertainment had far more visible gatekeepers: networks, studios, agents, advertisers, executives, and standards departments whose reputations were tied to what made it on air. TikTok's own guidelines promise zero tolerance for content involving young people. The question is how those policies are applied to fictional content that repeatedly places a child character in situations. After all, the algorithm systems don't interpret outrage the way a human editor would. A viewer who watches, rewatches, comments, or shares a video because they're horrified is still generating signals the platform can interpret as interest. All it sees is 2 million views and 10,000 shares. This creates a dangerous feedback loop for creators who lack self-awareness. When the algorithm pushes your most controversial video to the top, it sends a direct signal to your brain. Something like, do that again, but make it weirder. And without a manager or team to tell you to step back, you end up slowly escalating from harmless vanity into content that makes the entire internet turn against you. And now, to make sense of how a trained actor can end up posting videos of himself pretending to be a kindergartner discussing adult topics, you have to look at the psychological trap created by modern social media algorithms. Rahul Rai didn't wake up one morning in 2011 after starring in When Harry Tries to Marry and decide, oh, I want to be known as TikTok's weirdest creator. His story is a classic case of what happens when traditional entertainment pathways dry up, and a performer pivots to short-form video apps to stay relevant. In traditional Hollywood, actors face rejection constantly. Directors say no, casting agents move on, and projects get shelved. But on TikTok, the algorithm offers immediate, constant validation. Every time you upload a video, you get instant metrics, views, likes, comments, and shares. However, the problem is that platforms like TikTok aren't built to reward artistic talent or nuance. They're built to reward retention and watch time, and nothing keeps a viewer scrolling like sheer, unadulterated shock value. Rahul quickly learned a formula that worked. The more unhinged he made his future-based skits, the more people shared them to group chats, possibly to lament. The more inappropriate he made the Zayn skits, the more people argued in the comments. Of course, to the TikTok algorithm, outrage and disgust look identical to genuine enjoyment. A user who pauses a video to read comments in total disbelief is still counting toward the creator's watch time metrics. Rahul mistook constant engagement, all thanks to the algorithm, for genuine popularity. However, the danger is that constant engagement can begin to look like validation, regardless of why people are watching. 5 million followers can look impressive on paper, but follower count doesn't tell you whether those people are fans, critics, hate watchers, or simply curious spectators. So for a long time, creators like Rahul operated in a bubble. They deleted negative comments, blocked critics, and pretended the pushback didn't exist. But then one thing with the internet is that severe cringe and boundary-crossing content will always eventually reach a breaking point. So over the past few weeks, the internet's patience finally ran out on Rahul Rai. Across YouTube, TikTok, and Reddit, commentary channels and former fans have banded together to break down his profile piece by piece. Millions of viewers who previously scrolled past his videos are now seeing the full compiled history of his page, the self-fan fiction, the weird age gap jokes, and the endless Zayn skits, and for the first time in his social media career, Rahul can't delete his way out of it. He can restrict the comment section on his own page, but he can't control the thousands of Stitch videos, reaction podcasts, and deep dive essays calling for his account to be reviewed or outright removed. The echo chamber he spent years carefully building has completely collapsed under the weight of his own uploads. So what actually happens from here? Well, realistically, one of three things. Either TikTok's enforcement finally catches up to its own policy, and the account gets reviewed, which given the current pace of scrutiny isn't impossible. Or the sponsors currently attached to his page quietly pull their links before this whole thing turns into a full brand crisis, because no marketing team wants their product tagged under a video going viral for the wrong reasons. And this is the outcome creators like Rahul are banking on. The internet's attention moves on in a week, the stitches stop trending, and he keeps posting exactly as before, just slightly more careful about what he let Zayn say next time. The truth, though, is that history suggests it's usually the third one. After all, cancel culture, for all its noise, rarely outlasts the news cycle that created it. Anyways, this whole situation brings us to a crucial lesson about creator culture in the digital age. When an influencer builds a career on boundary-pushing content, they constantly have to raise the stakes to keep people watching. Harmless vanity leads to self-flirting. Self-flirting leads to weird nice guy tropes. And eventually, when the views start dipping, they resort to the weird shock baiting, involving children just to get back on the For You page. Rahul Rai had the foundation of a real acting career. He had talent, industry credentials, and a massive platform that millions of aspiring creators would give anything to have. But instead of using that platform to showcase actual skill, he traded his credibility for cheap, algorithm-driven outrage. He chose to become a cautionary tale, and a textbook example of what happens when a creator sacrifices every shred of self-respect in exchange for clout. At the end of the day, Rahul Rai doesn't need another brand deal or another million followers. What he genuinely needs is to step away from the front camera, put down the bath towel, and log off the internet for a very, very long time. Because if your entire online legacy boils down to millions of people watching your videos in total horror and asking, how is this guy still on this app? You haven't won the social media game. You've just become the content.